today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this two pattern dress. So guys, what I did here is to first place my Ankara fabric. If I raise this up, you'll see I have Ankara underneath here. So the right side of my Ankara is this, that's the front. Then the wrong part of my Ankara is this one. The right side of my Tetrex fabric, this is Tetrex, is this one here. The wrong side is facing each other. So this is the back of this cloth, this is the back, this is the front, this is the front. So now I'm going to start with cutting my front panel. Guys, you can do this on a pattern paper first if you're not, like, if you don't know how to cut it. But I want to show you guys how you can cut it directly on your cloth. So after that, the first thing I went ahead to do is just to mark ½ an inch all the way from the beginning to the end here. You see, you can see my blue chalk all the way to the end. This will help me know where the edge of where I'm going to join the two pieces of this cloth together. Some people go ahead, cut out what they need, join it together before they start cutting. But I'm just going to know that all my measurements are going to start from this blue line now going forward, because this other seam here is just for my seam allowance. So my measurements will not start at the edge, it will start after this blue line, because this ½ an inch here is for my seam allowance. So guys, we'll go back up now. So how you're going to determine the width, remember this is like a kimono dress. It's like a boo-boo dress. So the first thing you're going to insert is the shoulder measurement, right? So for me, the shoulder I'm working with divided by 2 is 8. And from the distance after this chalk is my 8 inches is here. And then the next thing you're going to insert is your sleeve length. The length you want your sleeve to be. Guys, it depends on you. So for me, I can do like 6 inches. So guys, after that, the next thing you have to do is to go down here, mark 1 inch, and then after that you're going to come back in again, insert your neckline. So I'm going to be using 3 inches of neckline, and then connect this 1 inch to that 3 inches, so as your shoulder slope. So guys, now I'm going to mark from the tip here to where my chest line is going to be, which is about 10.5, somewhere here. If you want, you can do from here to your armhole divided by 2. So but I'm going to use my chest line because I want the sleeve to be free. And then after that, you're going to mark your waist. For me, that's 17. And then I'm going to mark the hip, which is 25 on this line. And then the dress length plus my seam allowances, it depends on you what you want the dress length to be. So the dress length I'm working with should be about 39.5, somewhere here, and then plus extra 1.5 inch of seam allowance. So that's going to be about 41 inches is what I'm going to mark as the final length. So guys, I'm still going to go back in and make my line straight, but let's go back and insert the measurement. So come to the bust, insert your bust measurement divided by 4 plus seam allowance, and if you want you can add ease. If you look at the one on the picture, you see that her own is free. So I'm going to do 1 inch of seam allowance, ½ an inch of ease. So in total I'm going to add 1.5 here. The same thing on the waist. Waist divided by 4 for me is going to be about 8.5 plus extra 1.5 inches. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add the hip, divide it by 4, add my 1.5 again. Guys, if your waist ratio to the hip ratio is too deep, or to the bust ratio is too deep, you can add extra ½ an inch and make it complete 2 inches that you added at the waist. It will still give you some shape, but what you don't want is a situation whereby you cut the waist exactly your waist because your waist is tiny, and then you have a bigger bust than the waist, which definitely your bust will be bigger than the waist, and then the waist cannot pass through. Like the waist cannot pass through your bust. So that's why it's better to add some room to the waist. Don't use exactly your waist, because most times the waist is really small than the bust. So that because you're wearing this clothes from the bottom, so you definitely your bust will pass through your hip because your hip will be bigger than the bust. But coming down now, your bust, this waist measurement will not be able to fit the bust. So guys, after that, the next thing you're going to do is this line here. I'm going to insert this total measurement again so I know where my sleeve is. So that's 14 inches, somewhere here, right? So what I'm going to do now is so guys, the next thing I did is to connect the bust to the waist, connect the waist to the hip, and then now guys, the measurement that you have here, which is whatever you have here on the hip, for me that's 13.5. I'm going to bring it down here. and mark it, and then with a straight line I'm going to connect it down. So guys, now that we've done that, the next thing we are going to do is to finish up our sleeve, right? So on this line here, we are just going to come down 1 inch here and then use it to give, because remember there's still a straight line here on this our chest line, use it to connect into the chest line. You see this line that we made here is just to help us know what the sleeve length is, which was 14. That's this tip from here to the end, which is 14. So I'm going to connect these two lines together. So guys, this is basically what it looks like. Most times kimono sleeve, the edge is not like this. Sometimes people come in here by like 1 inch and give it a slant this way. This is what a kimono sleeve, most times the edge looks like. It's never like a straight line like this, but I'm leaving mine as a straight line because the sleeve length I'm working with is not really that long. So one thing I don't want to do is to shorten it more. So I'm going to stick to the straight line across. It doesn't matter like that. So guys, this is it now. Our cloth is ready. So now after we've marked our neckline, we need to mark the back neckline because I'm going to use this to trace my front and my back. So there's no need for me to go ahead now and cut it. So I'm just going to use back neckline first, so that once I trace out the back, I can bring down the neckline for the front. So this is what my front neckline is going to be, about 4.5. The back is 1 inch. So I've marked 1 inch. So I'm going to connect it together here, and then for the front it's somewhere here. So now with this marked, now I'm going to go ahead and cut everything out. So guys, you see now we've cut everything. I've cut the side out, cut the shoulder slope out, cut the back neckline out. So guys, we have the 2-piece. So guys, what you have to do now is just to go ahead. I'm going to notch this here so that I know where my front neckline is going to be when I'm done, right? So that I can be able to go back in and cut this neckline out. But now what I have to do is just to take this one here. I know that this is going to be on one side, right, in front of me. So let me use my own self as an example. So this is my front on this side, this is my akara pattern on this side, right? So one side is this, one side is this one. So guys, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here to trace. You're going to trace the back because you want this whole side to be black, right? So you're going to pull your black fabric or whatever plain you're using, and make sure that you're cutting on the you place it in such a way that you're going to be able to sew it, right? So if it's the wrong side, make the wrong side to face each other. Just imagine like you're wearing it and make sure that everything is placed properly. Guys, one thing you don't want to do is to make a mistake and then you cut the wrong side twice. So you know that this is the front side, one side of it. So, and this is the front of the fabric. So what I'm going to do is just to take this like this. Now I know that this is the front, this is the front. When I go to sew it, I'm joining it on the shoulder. So I'm going to keep my fabric this way when I go to trace it, meaning the wrong side of the two of them are facing each other. So now I'm going to trace this, do the same thing on this one, trace it, and have 2 pieces of each of them. Here I've cut 2 pieces of this one here. This is the way it's going to be sewn, right? I'm just going to join the shoulder, but you know that the right side is here, the right side is here, the wrong side is on the inside. So I just have to turn it around and cut up and sew the shoulders close. The same thing on this side, the wrong side is the inside, the 2 outer parts are the right sides. So guys, now all I have to do is just to cut out the front neckline. Remember I notched it, so I'm just going to, so guys, this is the neckline here. I just have to, so I'm going to separate it, sew the 2 fronts together, sew the back together, and then I'm going to also attach a pocket to it. So I'm going to do that and show you guys how you're going to do yours. You see what this side looks like. So I've joined the center, and then the same thing at the back too. I've joined the back together, so one color on each side. You see what the back looks like here. So guys, the next thing you have to do is the pocket. So cut out what you want, the size you want your pocket, whichever size you want it to be. You see her own has one black here. It has the pattern on the black, and then the black on the pattern like this somewhere by her chest. So it depends on you. You just have to cut out the size you want, fold the edges. First of all, fold the top part, and then you tuck in the edges, pin it down like this, 4 corner, and then you sew it down before you start to sew it close, because you can't So guys, now you just sew that down 4 corners all the way around. That's what I'm going to do for this one. Sew it down from here to up to this point. And then guys, once you finish that, you're supposed to join the shoulder to the shoulder on top. You see my seam on the inside, and then you're going to attach a turn-up sleeve to it. You see that one has a turn-up sleeve. So to attach a turn-up sleeve, you need to cut about 4 inches width of fabric. Fold it into two, like this, and then you take it and sew it down all the way around. You see this one here, this is a piece of fabric that I attached, the 4 inches. Sew it down this way, and once you finish, you turn it around like this, and then you close up the armhole. I already have a video on how to make a turn-up sleeve. So you close up the armhole all the way to the end on both sides. Use bias to line up the neckline. So once you do that, then I'll show you guys how to finish up the back. Dress here, you see one side this color, the other side the other color. So this is it here. I ended up putting one pocket, but I might still take this pocket out. Just sew it down the 4 corners, and that's basically it. So let me turn it around so you can see how I finish the back. So guys, the back, the same seam goes right to the top, but once you come to this top part here, you see what I did? I used bias to finish up my neckline first. And then you know that seam that you came up with at the back, you know there are 2 seams here, one from the black, one from this one. Once you get to this top part here, you double stitch it, and then you flip each one to one side. You see, flip this one facing this side, flip this one facing this side, and then sew it down. It's like a way to have a finishing at this edge here. And then on this side, you also sew this one facing the other way, facing this side, this one facing this side. So it's almost like you separate the 2 seams. Just that your center seam that you used to, this same seam that is holding these 2 pieces together, that 1/2 inch seam allowance that is holding them together, once you get to this top here, double stitch it so that once you come back, you use this one, turn it around, sew it down, connect to this part, cross over, go up to this point. And then once you're done, you put in something like this, just a loop. Make a loop for this and put button on one side. Guys, try to come down a little bit, maybe like 6 inches, so your head can fit in, right? So that's basically it, and it's just a button at the back, and that is it here. So this is what the dress looks like. Like I said before, some people like to just join their fabric together, the front and the back, like the 2 colors, and then start inserting their seam. Like just turn it to one fabric before they start to insert their measurements. But you can do it this way. Do everything once. Just mark it together. Mark the 1/2 inch you need as your seam allowance, and then insert your measurements. Cut it before you join it. Some people like to just join the fabric so it looks like one fabric first, and then they go back in and start inserting measurement. Any method works, whichever one works for you. If you want, you can trace it on a pattern. The 3 method, anyone will still give you the same result as long as you know exactly what to do. So that's basically it. This is a very nice workwear. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.